Okay, so I'm gonna talk this one out. So you need to set up an array. What language are you using? You can answer that while I get this code going here. Yeah, sometimes maybe his teaching style might be, something you don't blend with. Uh, Someone probably learned something from them. They are there. So and it, I'm not knocking that. Most definitely, you guys cannot. It can be possible that it just doesn't work for you too. So you look other ways. C sharp. All right, cool. I can whip one together here for you. An example, of course. Don't want to give you the whole thing. So this is the idea that you wanna check out. All right. It's not mandatory, but if you haven't followed, at least you can probably do that. That'll give me a little incentive for not giving you the wrong code. No, just kidding. But it'll be nice. It'll help me out. Okay, so you want to create an array. You can do that in a few ways. So you have yourself an array, and we'll call that weights. All right. So in C sharp, you can just since we're creating an array of strings, you can do that. You can just do that and start passing in some strings. Um, I'm assuming you're using Visual Studio, so the compiler is smart enough to interpret that as strings. So you can create that array and populate it with your values. Doing it this way, you'd have to create two arrays. You'd have to create one for the weights and one for the letters, let's say. And you have to do matching back and forth. So if they enter in a value between there and there, then you'd have to check the weights and see which index the weight is at. For instance, okay, for I equals 1 in weights dot length, and then you iterate through that loop. So iterating through that loop, you'll check the weight. So if the weight, mind you, I'm trying my best to show you enough to not show you too much, because it's part of actually knocking this stuff down is weeding through it, and that's probably the hardest part. So we'll get a user input first. So it's a string, and we're looking for, let's just call this user input. Whoops. Okay, and my example, what did I pick there? 223. Okay, so that's my input, and this is the weights that we're checking against. So if weights I, you can't compare string values and solve for a solution. So you have to convert each string of the weights and the user input into integers. And so we say user input, we'll leave that at 223, and then we'll have an int here of number. Oh, let's call this user weight. So we stay with integers, and it might be better to do. So int has a parse function that you can use. It's static. Right, the parse function on int takes a string, and you can pass that in, and it will give you an integer out. Yeah. We go there. This is the part that you need to actually solve it. The console part, are you having problems with how to use the console application? Okay, let's write this skeleton here, and then I'll start up a console application, and we'll have the console looping until they yeah, you always use console applications at school. It made me sick being at DeVry, and everything you write has to be printed out on the console, printed out on the console, printed out on the like, oh my God, really? So let's get an int for I weight equals int parse the weight of I. And now, oh, I'm sorry. That'll give us the weight of I. So with this number, we can compare to this number. Now that they're numbers, we can compare. So if the user weight is greater than or equal to I weight, and the user weight is less than or equal to I weight, then you have found the weight. Then you can console write line. How would I get that? Then you can write line the letter at that index. Okay, so whatever weights you have here and whatever values you have here, you can now write it. And this is how you access what's going on in here. So for your example, you have A equals 400 plus, so you would need one more condition for mastering. Well, not necessarily, because you just set a 400 plus weight, or anything higher than 400. And for pumpkin, I mean, what's the most massive pumpkin? You pick an upper bounds. So A, B, C, D, and if it's less than 1,000, and you only have 5 items here, so you can use the loop, or you can hard code them and check incrementally. Okay, so with this same concept in mind, let me drop this on my clipboard and we'll start up a console application.